Good afternoon, Year 4. This is Miss Fowler here, and this is your second DT lesson for Tuesday the 19th of January 2021. First of all, I need to start off by saying that I hope you enjoyed the first DT lesson last week. Lots of your messages from last week explained how you really enjoyed tasting the different ice creams or the different gelatos or even the different frozen yogurts that you had at home. It was just to get an idea of what flavours that you liked, which ones you didn't, but I do really hope that you enjoyed that, and I do want to say a big well done for not nagging your parents last week. Today's DT lesson, which is lesson 2 of our cookery unit, is learning to understand seasonality and to know where ingredients come from. This lesson is obviously based on the flavours that we would have tried had we have been in school, so this might be different for you, and if you'd like to give yourself an extra challenge as we go based on your flavours that you tried, that's absolutely fine, but don't worry if not. So today we're going to be identifying the ingredients used to make gelato. We're going to track the journey of ingredients and decide whether they are reared, processed or grown, and explain what seasonality is. Okay, let's get started then. So, do we understand what seasonality is? Do we know what the word means, and do we know where ingredients come from? So before we start the lesson today, I'd like you to have a think about whether you know what those words mean or whether you know anything about where ingredients come from, and put yourself on the learning pit. Do you think this lesson is going to be easy? It's going to be hard? How will we succeed today? Okay, so this is a recall opportunity, hopefully from year 3. And last year in year 3, when you were looking at your different meals that you made, your 3-course meal, you learnt how food gets to our plates. And even I remember from when I taught year 3 a few years ago that you learnt these 3 terms: reared, grown, and processed. But can you remember what they mean? Have a quick think to yourself if you're at home, have a quick chat to someone if you're in school. Do you know what they mean? Okay, hopefully that we've remembered part of them. So if food is reared, it means that the food comes from an animal and you have had to rear or to look after an animal to get that product from it. If something is grown, that's probably the most simple one. It's come from the ground, it's come from a seed, it's grown, and you've taken it from the garden or from an allotment or from a farm or something like that. Processed is the last one, and this is where lots of food is made in factories by combining lots of different ingredients together. Lots of it comes in packages, and hopefully all of our food comes from one of these 3 places, and we're going to hopefully find that out today. So, where did the ingredients come from that we tried last lesson? So if you remember, I said at the beginning of this video, if we were doing this in school, we would have tried mint chocolate chip, caramel, strawberry, raspberry, and vanilla. Do not worry at all if you tried different flavours, but in your mind, just think about which different flavours you tried, and we're going to think about where those ingredients came from. So we need to identify what ingredients are used and then work out where they're from. So it says there in the little writing on the side, last lesson we learnt that gelato is the Italian word for ice cream and that it starts out with a similar custard base as ice cream, but has a higher proportion of milk and a lower proportion of cream and eggs, or potentially even no eggs at all. And then we add the flavour. So that's why at the bottom I've got plain gelato or plain ice cream and then the flavour. Okay, so let's start with the ingredients for the plain gelato. We're then going to move these labels at the top to see if we know where they've come from. So plain gelato, first of all. Plain gelato is made up of the one that you would have tried in school, 650 millilitres of whole milk. Now, where does milk come from? Is it reared, grown, or processed? What do you think? Okay, hopefully we know that milk comes from a cow. which would be reared. But lots of you might also be thinking that it's processed as well, because from the milk that comes straight from the cow, it then needs to be pasteurized. So you could put just reared, or you could put reared and processed. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a little information as we go. So it's reared from a cow, and then it's processed. Oh, need my words in there. To pasteurize. Oh, can't spell. P-A-S-T-U-R-I-S-E. Oh, I still can't spell. To pasteurize. It's got that funny E in there. To pasteurize the milk. Okay. Next one down then, the double cream. Where does cream come from? Lovely. Again, hopefully you're saying it's reared and it comes from milk originally, but it's reared again most of the time from a cow. But it then has to be made into cream, so it's processed as well to make the cream. Milk to make cream. Okay, not doing too badly to start with. 180 grams of unrefined sugar. So where does sugar come from? Okay, sugar is grown, and it's grown in a sugar cane. That's how it's grown. Oh, not capital letters. Okay. Then we have 45 grams of skimmed milk powder. It comes from milk, yes. A lot of that is then processed from when it's come. Again, you could put reared first. They are quite tricky to identify exactly where they've come from, but for now I'll just put processed on there. And 1 teaspoon of corn flour. And again, I'm just going to pop processed on there. The corn flour would have been grown first, or the corn would, but for now we're going to put processed. That's the most simplest way that we can explain where they come from. So this was our basic plain gelato. Then we need to add the flavors. So again, this is where I said that yours might be different, but that's absolutely fine. But where would I get these from? So how do I get fresh strawberries? Hopefully you're telling me they are grown. Okay, fresh, oh, that was raspberries. I don't know whether I said strawberries or raspberries. I can't remember. That was for fresh raspberries. I might as well now go on to fresh strawberries. How are they produced? Are they reared, grown, or processed? Hopefully you know that they are grown as well. And finally, my vanilla, or my vanilla pod. Yep, you're right, that is grown too. Okay. Then I go to my other flavors though, maybe slightly trickier. Mint leaves and chocolate chips made up my mint choc chip. So my mint leaves are grown. You'd be able to pick off the leaves of a mint bush, tree, plant is best. And then we go to chocolate chips. So if you think about what makes up chocolate, we can have grown and the cocoa beans. Definitely can't spell today. The cocoa beans are grown, but then it would be processed to make the chocolate. Or the chocolate chips. They're just smushed down bits of chocolate, aren't they? And then finally the sugar. And we did work out from the other page that that was grown. And that was grown from a sugar cane. Okay, quite a lot of information there. Lots of these we know already. Some of them you may not have, but again, this is where it will differ to yours. So those last 2 pages, if you'd like to have a think about the types of flavors you tried, whether they were different to those, where those other ingredients would come from, that would be brilliant, but don't worry if not. Okay, I have Emmett then. Emmett thinks that all ingredients are processed because they have all gone through factories. Some just to be labelled or packaged, but nothing comes straight from the ground or an animal. Okay, do you agree or disagree with Emmett, and why? Have a think about that one. So even though we've just put processed, grown and reared on lots of ingredients, and a lot were grown or reared, he says even that milk, we say it's reared because it comes from a cow, or you get goat's milk comes from a goat, but it all goes through factories these days. Everything is pasteurized, so it's processed. Everything is put into plastic. Even our carrots, our vegetables, or the strawberries and raspberries we spoke about, everything that was grown then goes through a factory, gets covered in plastic. So he says, I just think everything is processed. What do you think? Okay. So after finding out a lot more about where our food comes from, your task now is to create a seasonality chart inputting the following information. So the seasons in where it's grown. Now I've tried to base this on the UK as much as possible, and especially for, you can see on the list below, the vanilla pods and the cocoa beans, they don't grow easily in England. But I have tried to the best of my knowledge and with the help of Google to work out when the ingredients that we found would grow or would be found in the UK. So what I've done is I've given you a grid on the side here. And in the UK, I've put at the top and I've listed the ingredients that I used. Again, if you want to change the flavors to the flavors that you tasted at home last week, by all means do that. But you might need to do a little bit more research about when they are in season, when is the best time that they grow or the best time to get them. And then what I'm going to ask you to do is to match this information. So first of all, I've got milk and it says all year round. So I'm going to pick a colour, and you can pick a milky type colour if you want to. I'm not going to quite do white, but I might do a yellow so you can still see. And I would colour in nice and neatly that it's available in January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November and December. So it was all year round. Just going to do a different one to show you. I'm going to go down to raspberries. I'm going to pick a pinky type reddish colour that raspberries normally are. I'm going to go for about that colour, and it says that raspberries, their seasonality is between July to September. So in my raspberries column, I'm going to start at July. And I'm not just going to do September as well. It says 2. So July to September. So that's all the boxes between July and September. Now I know that we can get raspberries in the supermarkets all year round, but lots of those are imported from different countries. And just remember that we are basing this on the UK and in England. So this is where they do grow in our country, and they're best between July and September. So it's between those dates. I will just do one more with you. I'm going to go to mint leaves. So I'm going to pick a green for those leaves, and it says February to October. So I will start with February and go all the way until October. I'm not just doing 2 of the boxes. I'm going to do all of the boxes in between because that's when they are grown the best. And I'm not going to colour those in neatly because I know you're going to do a better job anyway. Okay. So it says here that your first task is to try and add extra information where our ingredients come from. That is only if you want to do that. So what I've done on your daily sheet, if you scroll down to where it says DT, I have copied in the ones that we've now done together. If you want to change them, you can. But then your main activity for today would be your Go Deep, which would be to create your seasonality chart. Your final step then for your Go Deeper is to have a go at answering the question, is all food processed? That's why I didn't really go over Emmett's thought today, but you can say whether you do or don't think all food is processed because, and just remember the argument we said that everything now goes through the factories. Do you think it's therefore processed, or is it a bit of both? Good luck with that today. Not the easiest task to do from home, especially because we've changed flavours and things, but I'm pretty sure you will be brilliant. I'll let you pause the video now and go off and have a go at that, but make sure you come back at the end for your learning pit. Good luck. Okay, well done at having a go at that. I look forward to seeing some of this work if you choose to send it in, but just have a think about what you've learned today. Do you now understand what seasonality is, and have you learnt where ingredients come from and even when they're best grown in this country? Maybe you can draw yourself a learning pit near your WALT and mark where you are feeling after today's lesson. A huge well done, and I will see you for some more DT next week. Thanks very much. Bye for now.